Hi, welcome. If you don't know me, I'm assuming that most people that, click on this video have come through either my Instagram or my TikTok. But in the off chance that you don't know who I am, my name is Talita, or Talita Isabel. I am a cosplayer, or I used to be more of a cosplayer, but now I just make my own designs more often than not. And I do silly little photo shoots with them with my friends. Highly recommend, it's really fun. I've been saying for an embarrassingly long time that I'm gonna make YouTube videos. There is a reason why I haven't up until this point. I wanted to make sort of, not really how-to, but like process videos where I show you from start to finish how I make my costumes. That was my idea, but it also takes a really long time sometimes to make a costume, and then it takes a long time to then make the video. And because I wanted to produce videos on a more regular basis, I kind of can't do it right now. I am in university, hopefully my last year of university, and I really need to focus on that, obviously. So I kind of put making costumes on the back burner at the moment, which is really sad because I love it so much. But it is what it is right now, and I decided that I wanted to do something else that I really love, which was also an idea that I had for this channel, but I'm now making it my main focus for the moment, and that is talking about movie costumes. I love movies, I love costumes, I love costumes in movies. I thought I'd make videos about that, see what you guys think, and then obviously in the future, when I have more time, there's still room for me to make, costume videos. So it'll just be me yapping about costumes. As you can see by the title of the video, today I'm going to be talking about The Lord of the Rings, and I love The Lord of the Rings. I can't even begin to tell you how much. It is an obsession that has taken on such a worrisome amount of interest that people haven't asked me yet if I'm okay. But I feel like it's coming, I first watched The Lord of the Rings when I was, I think, 10, which it influenced my life a lot, as you can probably tell. Even if you look at my Instagram, you can tell immediately. But the funniest thing about that is that I think I was maybe a little bit too young, because I found a lot of things scary when I was a kid, and I had nightmares about the ghosts from the Return of the King, the ones who dwell under the mountains. Yeah, maybe I'll tell you what the nightmare was someday, but in hindsight it was a pretty funny nightmare, but yeah, I was not amused when I was a kid. Nevertheless, I was obsessed with these movies when I was young, and I still am, so Today I'm only going to be talking about the first two movies because I've chosen to only look at Arwen because I feel like she has, obviously being an Arwen cosplayer, I gotta talk about my girl Arwen. I love her so much. I feel like she has the most beautiful dresses in the entire franchise, and I wanted to focus on that. However, the amount of dresses that she wears, and also a couple of them that we end up not seeing on screen, it's so much that I cannot put this in one video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a two-parter. I hate doing that, especially immediately. However, it's like 18 costumes, and that is just a little too much for one video, for one video. So I'm gonna do two videos, and then I'm gonna do the Fellowship and the Two Towers first, and then the Return of the King, plus all the dresses that don't make it to the screen. That said, if you have any ideas for future videos, if you want to hear me talk about costumes from a particular movie, or even from within the Lord of the Rings still, but different characters, let me know in the comments. I have plenty of ideas, but if you have a really good idea, I might put that at the top of my list. Okay, without further ado, I think it's high time that we talk about the dresses. I think the first dress, which I think people mostly refer to it as the angel dress, which is kind of appropriate, is an underrated dress because I don't see many people talk about it. However, it's also a bit of a basic dress, so I get it. I get that people don't really talk about it a lot, but I think it deserves more attention than it currently does. And if I remember it correctly, they used 2 different dresses. One for the reshoots and one for what they filmed first. And I think that is the case, or what they alternatively did, because you can't really tell in the pictures, is in the original scene, she's arriving on horse. Only Frodo can see that she's wearing this white or silvery, I don't really know, gown. But she's wearing this sort of cloak, cape thing with it, and that sort of obscures most of the dress, so you can't really tell if she's wearing that in the reshoots as well. However, in the reshoots she's not wearing this cloak, so you can tell the dress more clearly. Also, originally she wears a circlet. I wish they kept that in, to be honest. I don't know why they decided to not have her wear that in the reshoots. It's kind of strange. And then the dress that she wears and that we see her approach Frodo in is a more classically Arwen with like the scoop neckline, which I really like on Liv Tyler. She wears that really well. And it's just sort of, I can't really figure out if this dress is white or if it's slightly silver, because it does have a sort of metallic quality to it. So I can't really tell that, but it looks to me to be more white and not metallic. I don't know. She doesn't wear a crown, she wears her hair loose, unlike in the first few shots. Like I said, it's more like a classically Arwen gown. It's simple, but still it's got details on the sleeves as well as on the neckline, and I think it's very appropriately named Angel gown because she's coming to Frodo's rescue. She's appearing to him, not to everyone else, but to him as this ethereal being. It's a really appropriate dress for the way that we first are introduced to her, and sort of also gives her this obviously ethereal but also mysterious element to her character because we don't know who she is. I have to remind myself that sometimes, that up until this point we don't know who she is. So I think it is a kind of underrated dress because I don't see many people talking about it online. I think if I'm going to rate it, it would for me be a 7 out of 10 because I don't know, I don't understand why they left out certain details, like she's wearing a circlet and then she's not wearing a circlet. And then I feel like that would have added something to her character. I don't know, it's just a personal preference. I think there could have been other details included in this gown and accessory wise, but yeah, that's just me. Moving on to one of her most iconic outfits, which is the chase outfit? Costume? I don't know, people just refer to it as chase and then something. This was my first Arwen costume that I made. And then I remade it a couple years later because I was so not happy with it the first time around. I also had a lot of trouble the first time finding appropriate fabric because it looks in the film to be sort of this slightly bluish gray coat, except it is just fully gray. It looks blue because of the filter, but it's a really, really nice costume because it's both fitting her character and her status as this, you know, princess of Rivendell, this elven princess. You wouldn't look at her in this costume even, you know, without seeing the ears and think that's just a regular human. But it also is very practical because, you know, she's on a horse. I think they balanced it really well, and she also wears it so well. I like the pattern that she has on her sleeves, which are similar to a lot of Elrond's clothing. I thought that was an interesting detail because she doesn't really... Obviously she has a lot of embroidery and beading on her dresses, but none of them really have this kind of pattern, and we do see that a lot in Elrond's clothing. I also think it's just the color is just a really good choice for her complexion and within the scene. I'm also obsessed with this scene. I still am. Her speaking Elvish, her just being like just outriding, I guess, the 9 ring race. But yeah, I think this for me is a 9 out of 10, and the one thing that I find that would have been more appropriate for me is if it was actually blue, because I just really like blue. So this is completely biased and subjective, but yeah, I really like this costume, and I'm glad I remade it because it turned out so much better the second time than it did the first time. Next up, we see her in Rivendell when she's talking to Aragorn on the bridge, and a little bit before when he puts Narsil back on the stand. And we see her first wearing this white or off-white, I think it's more off-white dress with a sort of robe over it in the same fabric, and then later when she's on the bridge she's taken off the robe and just wearing the dress. And I think it is a very, very beautiful dress in its simplicity. We see her in her home, she's comfortable. I think that's mainly where it comes from. Also, Rivendell I think is supposed to be warmer because it's in a valley, but I don't know if that's true. I read that somewhere, I think. But I really like this dress for its simplicity, and it kind of reminds us of a lot of her other dresses in the silhouette, in the neckline, but it's done differently. I like the draping around the neckline. I like the way that the sleeves are sort of draped as well. Also, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but I think the draping on the neckline and the draping on the sleeves kind of looks like a waterfall to me. And in the film at this point she's standing next to a waterfall. I don't know if that's consciously done or not or whatever, but I really like that sort of fits together in the setting as well. I also saw this close-up of the dress where she hands the Evenstar necklace to Aragorn. You can see that it's sort of this loosely knitted or loosely woven fabric, I should say. It's very fitting in a way that I can't sometimes put words to it, but all of her dresses fit so well within the setting and just masterfully done. It also has some beading on it, I think, which sometimes make it sparkle a little bit, but I think that with how little beading there is on it, that was a really good choice, because this dress just screams like simplicity in such a beautiful way. And she has a little headpiece in the back that, in my opinion, doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's very cute. I would give it an 8 out of 10, I think. It fits very well in the setting. I sometimes really just like the lightweight, ethereal, simplistic gowns more over the really heavy velvet ones that she also tends to wear. I think the contrast between the two is really nice. The last dress that we see her in is a farewell dress, and I don't know, this is, I think, my least favorite dress. And if not the least favorite, then one of them. It's at the bottom there. I don't like it a lot, and It's just the combination of different aspects of the dress coming together. If the dress maybe didn't have this really busy pattern, or if the sash were maybe a little bit smaller, didn't take up that much space around her waist, or maybe if the dress itself flared a little bit more like most of her other dresses, I think it would have been different for me. But because it's both a very straight dress, very heavy patterned? I don't know. And also, yeah, just the amount of space and the placement of the sash. I would give it a 6 out of 10. We just see her in like a closer shot, and we just see, you know, the top part of the dress. I like the neckline, and I do think the color complements her skin really well. But if we see the entire dress, I'm always reminded of how little I like it, and it's actually not. It's not a really pretty dress. Still though, I give it a 6 out of 10 just because the color complements her really well, and if we just see a close-up shot of her wearing the dress, it looks fine. We're gonna move on to the Two Towers, which also has one of my favorite dresses in there. So we're starting off the Two Towers with her in her room. She's wearing this it looks very comfortable. I have to say it looks like a really comfortable dress. It's, I thought it was black velvet, but it turns out it's actually a sort of burgundy colored dress with a cowl neckline, and the sleeves do have this, I believe, sort of bluish pattern on there, so that's a little bit busier. And in that regard, it's actually exactly the opposite of what I mentioned I hate about the previous dress, the farewell dress. I think it suits her better to wear a more like one colored gown and then have a lot of details on it, or a lot of details on it, and instead of having her wear something that has a very busy pattern. I think that's why this dress works so well, is because she is wearing mainly just a plain colored burgundy dress, except the sleeves have a lot of pattern and beading and embroidery on it, and I think that is a very nice complementary dress for Liv Tyler to wear. And I also think, again, it looks so comfortable. Yeah, so I would say that this dress is let me glance at my notes, a 7.5 out of 10. Because it looks comfortable, it is a really nice color combination as well, and I like the details on it. It's a better one than the previous one, definitely. The next dress is the morning gown, and I'm gonna just start with the rating and say that for me this is a 9 out of 10. I really like this dress a lot, and it has to do with the fact that I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's a nice blend of Elvish fashion and Gondorian fashion, because we see the people of Gondor, and when we see them in the story, we see them wearing mainly a lot of black and grey when the steward is in charge. R.I.P. Denethor. But we see them being in a lot of grey, we see them being in a lot of black, very simple looking clothing. At the end, when Aragorn is crowned king, obviously we see the people of Gondor wearing brighter colors, pastels, whatever, but also, you know, acknowledging that there's not just people from Gondor in that scene. But I thought, style-wise, this morning gown is a little bit different from what we see Arwen usually wear. So I think this dress is a really good mix between fashion from humans in Gondor and then fashion from, you know, her heritage, from her elven side. And That is because the neckline is not exactly a scoop neckline as we see her wear for the other dresses, but it is as close to a scoop neckline as you can get. She's also got this this sash, which we see her, you know, wearing other costumes like the farewell costume. Also we see Galadriel wearing a sash at some point, but it is more plain. The sleeves are pretty much the same as most of her elven dresses, with this sort of wide bottom of the sleeves and detail towards the top of the sleeves. I think it has, you know, influences from both. I also think that it was really interesting that they chose to put buttons going down the bodice of the dress, because none of her other costumes have that. Even the chase outfit that she wears in the first film, it doesn't have any visible closure. So I thought it was a very interesting choice that they chose to do that for this gown. I also really like the sheer veil that she wears in some of the shots, and obviously the circlet that she wears. Also really like that we see this color scheme, red, black and gold, coming back in her blood red gown in The Return of the King, because she's wearing this gown when she's mourning Aragorn in the future because it's a vision, and she's wearing that gown when she herself is dying, even though she's not wearing black, but it looks black. So I like the mirroring of the two costumes sort of being related to death. So like I said, for me this is a 9 out of 10 because I really like her in this dress. I think it complements her really well, and I think that it's a really nice mix between sort of her elven heritage and her elven fashion, but also at this point, you know, in the future, she's then been Queen of Gondor for a really long time. So I think it's a nice mix, and I think that the costume designers did really well on this one. The next dress, I feel sad about this dress because what we end up seeing in the film is only a glimpse, and I mean actually only a glimpse. This is when Aragorn is, you know, went with the others to Helm's Deep. They got attacked. He tumbled over a cliff. He is presumed dead, but he's floating down a river and he like washes up on shore somewhere. He has this vision of Arwen leaning over him and kissing him. And this is when we see the glimpse of the dress. So we only see like a really like small part of the neckline. That's it. That's it. I'm so upset because this dress is so beautiful. It's a cranberry colored, very classic Arwen with the wide sleeves, and the detail on the neckline, the detail on the sleeves. I think it's a really good dress. I think it's a shame that we didn't see it more, mainly because of the color. Also because I believe that this dress has more silver beading and embroidery and details rather than gold, what we see her in usually, and I really prefer her in silver details, but that might just be me. But I do think it's a shame that we didn't see more of this dress, especially because I rated an 8 out of 10. This dress, it deserved more screen time, honestly. And then moving on to something that was my Roman Empire for a very long time, which is the dream gown. She wears this when Aragorn is dreaming, and she is with him in Rivendell. She wears this very simple, and I would say nightgown-ish gown, which is lilac, and I love lilac, so I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I think she wears it really well, especially with the way that her hair is styled in this particular scene, and just the entire scene, her speaking Elvish, the sort of the haze that is over the shot, over the scene, the amount of detail in it. I really like it. And then the dress itself, It's very, very nice because it's so simple. Again, it really fits the setting. It's sort of like this laid back, homely, domestic kind of scene. What a lot of people don't know though, and I only noticed this because I was properly obsessed with it, and I would, as a kid, after seeing this scene, I would like draw it a lot, very badly, but I would draw it a lot. In some of the close-ups you can see that the first layer of the dress, because it's sort of first it's a cotton layer and then it's chiffon, and on the cotton layer there's a lot of silver markings, silver details on it, and I believe it's not embroidered, but it could be. It's maybe just painted on. I did not include that because I also made this dress in my own dress. Maybe in the future I'll add that. But yeah, I was properly obsessed with this scene, and the colors and the aesthetic and the Sindarin that they speak, and oh my god, it was too much for 10-year-old me. It really altered my brain chemistry. So I have to give this dress a 10 out of 10 because, I mean, come on. It's so... This was actually the last dress of this video. This video might actually be longer than I expected it to be, oops. But I really hope that you enjoyed it. Obviously, this is just my opinion. If you have another opinion, you know, that's fine. You can tell me about it in the comments, tell me why, you know, the farewell dress is actually the best dress. And like I said, if you have a suggestion for me to talk about any costumes of any movie or series in the future, let me know in the comments or send me a message on Instagram. And who knows, maybe I'll talk about it soon. See you in part 2.